For the last topic this week, I want to talk about guarding our most precious resource. There are few things in this world that are truly finite, but time is chief among them. My name is Seth. For anybody who's new to the channel, I'm a full-time author. I make YouTube videos about writing and about having an author career. And I like to talk about more esoteric stuff like time, which is what we're talking about today. But we're talking about time in relation to this concept of saying no. Earlier this week, we talked about the power of the small no, and then we discussed how important it is not to chase shiny objects, saying no to opportunities as they come up, even if they're good opportunities. But now I want to unpack some thoughts around why the ability to say no might just be the most powerful tool that you develop in your life. The further along you are in your career, the better you are at whatever it is that you do, the more opportunities you're going to have around that specific thing. And you might look at people who are very successful and say, man, they are just so busy. But all of that is relative. And it's important to understand how it's relative. When I just had started out in my author career, I was writing books, I was publishing them. At the time, I was self-publishing, and I was constantly on the lookout for opportunities to advance my career. Anybody in any career is typically in that same mindset, especially when they're starting out. And I was firmly in the mindset that each new opportunity that came along was an opportunity to advance myself. In some ways, that's a correct mindset to have. You want to take advantage of the opportunities you're given in order to create leverage for yourself to further whatever it is you're doing. In my case, it was writing. But the further along in my career I've gotten, the more I've realized how important it is to judiciously choose the things that I do. Now I'm busier than ever. I have multiple projects going on at once. I write, I have a game company, I have a YouTube channel, I do a podcast, I'm juggling all sorts of different projects, and I'm way busier than I was when I started. But this is where perspective matters. Because for every opportunity that I've said yes to in the last year, I've had to say no to 10 others. When I had first started out in my career, I didn't get a lot of opportunities. And so I said yes to literally everything. Now, this came with its own problems because I often found myself feeling overstretched. The difference is now, because I've cultivated the habit of saying no, I don't feel overstretched. I'm busy, certainly. And am I doing too much? Well, that's a matter of perspective. But the reality is that if I had maintained that tendency to say yes to each opportunity that came my way, you wouldn't be watching a video right now because I just wouldn't have had time to start my YouTube channel. And the key in all of this is time. You have 24 hours in a day. And if you spend 8 hours of that sleeping, that leaves you with 16. And then if you spend, let's say, 4 to 6 hours on regular life stuff, that leaves you with 10 or 12 left. And if you were to work as hard as you possibly could for those 10 to 12 hours, you would get a lot done. But the reality is that no matter how efficient you are, you can't cram 16 hours of stuff into a 10-hour window. It's just not possible. So I want to talk about two ways of thinking about time that I think will be a big help to you. They certainly have been to me. Time should be divided into two different categories. Microtime is what you use when you are doing any sort of detailed time management. This is when you think of your time in units, whether that be minutes or hours or even days. Microtime is the focus on granular time management practices like lists, time blocking, all of that sort of stuff. And microtime is where most of us spend the majority of our time. And there's nothing wrong with it. In fact, microtime is a really important skill to develop. Because if you can master it, you can be incredibly productive. You can use all of that time that you have in the most efficient way. However, there's another way of thinking about time that is equally important and is often overlooked, and that is macro time, where micro time is about thinking in units. Macro time is about thinking in spans. What is a span? It's many small units all put together. So a span could be a month, but it's more likely to be 3 months, 6 months, a year, 5 years. Now, why is this important? Well, it's incredibly important because it is impossible, no matter how disciplined you are, to perfectly use every unit of your time. And so if all you focus on is micro time, you're going to find that you lose time as your life progresses. You're going to be so in the weeds that one day you look up and you realize that you're not even on the path anymore. Life in a lot of ways is like cutting through thick grass. I grew up in West Africa, and there they have something called elephant grass. And elephant grass is very tall. And when you're in the middle of it, you can't see more than a couple inches in front of you. Imagine you're in a field of tall elephant grass, and you've got your machete and you're cutting your way through. Every moment, you have to decide which stalks of grass to cut. This is a lot like micro time. You're deciding which tasks to do. And the tasks you do, or the grass you cut, determines what direction the path proceeds. Macro time, on the other hand, allows you to have a bird's eye view of that same field that you're cutting in. You can tell when the tasks you're doing start leading you in a different direction. But just as micro time is incredibly important for organizing your day, macro time is also really important. Being able to think in terms of 3 months, 6 months, a year, 5 years is going to help you stay on the path that you want to be on. When you wake up 5 years from now, the question is, are you going to be where you want to be? And there's no way of knowing that. We just don't have the ability to see through time in order to know where we'll end up. All sorts of things could happen between now and then. But if we want to give ourselves the best chance, then it's imperative that we spend our time wisely. And not only that we spend it wisely, but that we spend it in pursuit of the things, of the tasks that will get us to our goal. Maybe take a few minutes today and sit somewhere comfortable. Get out a piece of paper and start thinking about your time in terms of spans. 3 months, 6 months, a year, 5 years. Where do you want to be? And then work backwards. Figure out what sort of actions you're going to need to take today in order to arrive at that destination. This week, we've been practicing the art of saying no. And I'm really curious as to how you've done. Have you been able to say no to yourself in the small things? Have you found it easier to say yes then to the bigger, more important things? If so, let me know down in the comments. I know that today's video has been pretty theoretical. So if you have any questions about any of this stuff, don't hesitate to let me know. Additionally, I've been starting to stream on YouTube, so hit the notification bell so that you're alerted every time I go live. I've been streaming writing or productivity sprints, but I also have some time in there for people to ask questions. So if you've got a burning question and you don't want to put it in the comments, jump on the stream and I'll try to answer it there.